Imagine waking up without debt, without fear, with time for yourself and freedom to choose. Imagine walking through your house and feeling it's truly yours, not the bank's. Imagine opening your bank account and seeing numbers that bring you peace instead of numbers that keep you awake at night. Imagine saying no to commitments that don't nourish you, without guilt, without justifications, without fear of disappointing others. Imagine waking up on any random Tuesday, and your first emotion isn't anxiety about everything you have to do, but gratitude for everything you can choose to do. Imagine your work being an extension of who you are, not a prison where you trade time for money until the time runs out. Imagine having deep conversations with your children about their dreams, instead of just asking if they did their homework. Imagine when your partner asks, "How was your day?" You have beautiful stories to tell, not just a list of tasks you completed. Imagine feeling proud of the decisions you make, not just relieved about the crises you avoid. Imagine your biggest concern being choosing between two incredible opportunities, not wondering how you'll make it to the end of the month. Imagine living from abundance, not from survival. That life exists. It's not a fantasy. It's not a privilege reserved for a lucky few. It's a real possibility waiting for you on the other side of a decision you haven't made yet. But here you are, reading this, and you probably find yourself in a very different place. Maybe you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck, even though you earn well. Maybe you feel your life has become an endless routine of responsibilities you never really chose. Maybe you have everything you're supposed to want, but inside you feel empty, as if you're living someone else's life. Maybe you've been telling yourself for years that someday things will change, that someday you'll have time for yourself, that someday you'll do what you really like, that someday you'll be free. But the somedays have turned into years, and the years have become a life you don't recognize as your own. Do you know what's the difference between the life you're living and the life you deserve? One decision. One decision to stop accepting what you got and start creating what you deserve. Tony Robbins says something that changed my perspective forever. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. And for years, I was asking myself the wrong questions. I asked, why me? Why is it so hard? Why can't I have what others have? Questions that kept me focused on what I didn't have, on what I couldn't control, on what was wrong. Until one day, without realizing it, I changed the question. Instead of asking, why is my life like this? I started asking, how do I want my life to be? And that question changed everything. Because when you change the question, you change the focus. And when you change the focus, you change the decisions. And when you change the decisions, you change the results. And when you change the results, you change your life. But here's the part nobody tells you. Changing your life isn't comfortable. It's not easy. It's not something you can do without making other people uncomfortable, without questioning beliefs you've had your whole life, without facing fears you've been avoiding for years. Changing your life means stopping living on autopilot and starting to make conscious decisions. It means stopping doing what you've always done because it's what's expected of you, and starting to do what you really want to do. It means stopping seeking others' approval and starting to seek your own approval. And that's scary. Because living the life you deserve means taking complete responsibility for your happiness, your success, your failure, your decisions. It means stopping blaming circumstances, your parents, your boss, the economy, the government, bad luck. It means recognizing that if your life isn't how you want it, it's because you haven't done what's necessary to change it. And I know that sounds harsh. I know you might be thinking, but you don't understand my situation. You don't know everything I've been through. You don't know my limitations. And you're right. I don't know your story. I don't know what obstacles you've faced, what pain you've had to overcome, what real limitations you have. But I do know something. I know hundreds of stories of people who had more obstacles than you, more pain than you, more limitations than you, and still managed to create the life they deserved. Not because they were smarter, more talented, or luckier, but because they made the decision to do it for the life they deserved, not for the life they got. That single mother who worked double shifts and studied at night to get a better job didn't do it because it was easy. She did it because she decided her daughter deserved to see that dreams can come true. That man who lost his job at 50 and instead of getting depressed, started his own business didn't do it because he had guarantees of success. He did it because he decided he deserved to own his time. That couple drowning in debt who decided to sell everything, move to a smaller house and start over, didn't do it because it was comfortable. They did it because they decided they deserved to sleep peacefully. They deserved a relationship without the constant pressure of money. All these people had something in common. They understood that no one was going to come save them, that no one was going to change their life for them, that if they wanted something different, they had to do something different. And here's the most powerful part. When you make that decision, when you really decide you're going to do whatever it takes to live the life you deserve, something changes in you. You change your energy. You change your posture. You change the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you present yourself to the world. People start to notice. Opportunities start to appear. Not by magic, but because when you change your internal energy, you change what you attract externally. When you start acting like someone who deserves an extraordinary life, the extraordinary life starts to materialize. But you need to be specific. You can't just say, "I want a better life." You need to define exactly what that better life looks like. How much money do you need to feel free? What type of work would make you jump out of bed every morning? How do you want your relationships to be? Where do you want to live? How do you want to feel when you wake up each day? And don't talk to me about being realistic. For years I was realistic, and you know where it got me. To a mediocre life. To settling for less than what I knew I could achieve. To living with the constant feeling that I was wasting my potential. Being realistic is the enemy of living the life you deserve. Because the life you deserve is probably beyond what you consider realistic right now. It's beyond your current comfort zone, beyond your current beliefs about what's possible for you. You need to start dreaming big again. Do you remember when you were a child and believed you could be anything? Do you remember when you had no limits in your imagination? What happened to that version of you? When did you decide your dreams were too big, too unrealistic, too impossible? It was probably when someone told you to get your feet on the ground, when someone told you to be practical, when someone convinced you it was better to settle for a safe job, even though it bored you, than to pursue something that really excited you, but seemed risky. But here's the truth. Nobody tells you. There's nothing safe in this world. That security you think you have is an illusion. You could lose your safe job tomorrow. You could get sick and realize you've been trading your health for a paycheck. You could reach 60 and realize you've lived the life others wanted for you, not the life you wanted for yourself. The only real security is confidence in your ability to create value, to solve problems, to adapt, to learn, to grow. And you develop that security when you start doing things that scare you, when you start betting on yourself, when you start building the life you really want. But you need a plan. You can't just decide you want a different life and wait for it to magically appear. You need a clear strategy, specific steps, concrete actions you can take every day to get closer to that life. First, you need to do an honest audit of your current life. Where are you really? Not where you'd like to be, not where you should be, but where you really are. Financially, professionally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. You need real numbers, not optimistic estimates. How much money do you really have? How much do you owe? How much do you spend each month? What do you spend it on? How much of that spending is really necessary, and how much is just habit? How much time do you spend doing things that bring you closer to your goals? And how much time do you spend on activities that add no value to your life? This audit is going to be uncomfortable. It will probably reveal things you don't want to see. But you can't get where you want to go if you don't know exactly where you are now. Second, you need to design your ideal life with the same precision an architect designs a house. You can't build something extraordinary without an extraordinary blueprint. What does a perfect day in your ideal life look like? Describe from when you wake up until you go to bed. Where do you live? With whom? What do you do for work? How do you feel? What problems have you solved? What have you stopped doing? What have you started doing? Third, you need to identify the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and create a specific plan to close that gap. Not a generic plan you found on the internet, but a plan designed specifically for your situation, your resources, your limitations, and your goals. If you need more money, how are you going to generate it? Are you going to increase your income, reduce your expenses, or both? If you're going to increase your income, how? Are you going to ask for a raise, change jobs, create a side business, develop new skills that allow you to charge more? If you need more time, what are you going to stop doing? What activities are you going to eliminate from your life? What responsibilities are you going to delegate? What commitments are you going to cancel? If you need more energy, what are you going to change in your daily routine? How are you going to improve your sleep, your nutrition, your exercise? What people or situations that drain your energy are you going to eliminate from your life? Fourth, you need to be prepared for the people around you not to understand or support your changes. When you start living differently, when you start making decisions based on what you want instead of what others expect from you, it's going to make many people uncomfortable. They'll say you've changed as if it were a bad thing. They'll say you think you're better than them. They'll try to convince you to return to your old life, which was more normal, more predictable. But here's the truth. People who really love you will support your growth, even if they don't completely understand it. And people who try to sabotage you when you start growing probably were never really your people. Fifth, you need to develop the mindset of someone who deserves an extraordinary life. This means changing the stories you tell yourself, about money, about success, about what's possible for someone like you. For years I told myself I wasn't good with money, that I came from a poor family, and that's why I'd never be rich. That people like me didn't succeed in business. That it was better to be an employee because it was more secure. All those stories were lies that limited me, but I believed them because I had repeated them so many times they had become my truth. Until I realized those stories weren't facts, they were choices. And if I could choose to believe stories that limited me, I could also choose to believe stories that empowered me. I started telling myself new stories. I told myself I was smart with money, that I had valuable skills people were willing to pay for, that I deserved to be prosperous, that success was my natural right, not a privilege reserved for others. And something magical started to happen. When I changed the stories I told myself about myself, I started making different decisions. And when I started making different decisions, I started getting different results. Sixth, you need to understand this isn't going to happen overnight. Building the life you deserve is a project of years, not months. But here's the beautiful part. You don't have to wait years to start feeling better. From the moment you make the decision to live the life you deserve, from the moment you start taking actions toward that life, you start feeling different. You start recovering your personal power. You start feeling hope again. You start feeling you have control over your destiny. And that feeling, that energy, that confidence that comes from knowing you're doing the right thing for yourself, that's more valuable than any external result. Because when you have that internal energy, when you know who you are and where you're going, nothing can stop you. Seventh, you need to celebrate every small progress. Every time you make a decision that brings you closer to the life you deserve. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you. Every time you say yes to something that excites you. Every time you overcome a fear. Every time you step out of your comfort zone. You need to recognize it and celebrate it. Because the path to the life you deserve is made of thousands of small correct decisions. And if you don't celebrate those small victories, you'll miss the beauty of the process. Finally, you need to remember why you're doing this. It's not just for you. It's for the people you love. It's for the example you want to set. It's for the legacy you want to leave. It's for the version of you that you know you can be. Your children need to see you pursue your dreams to know it's possible to pursue theirs. Your partner needs to see you fulfill yourself to remember they can fulfill themselves too. The world needs your unique contribution, that special thing only you can offer. But above all, you deserve it. You deserve to wake up excited about the day ahead. You deserve to work on something that inspires you. You deserve to have time for the things that really matter. You deserve relationships that nourish you. You deserve financial abundance. You deserve peace of mind. You deserve a life that reflects who you really are, not who others think you should be. The life you deserve isn't a luxury. It's your right. It's not something you have to earn by being perfect. It's something you already have by the simple fact of existing. It's not something you deserve only if you meet certain conditions. It's something you deserve simply for being human. But no one is going to come give it to you. No one is going to knock on your door and say, "Here's the life you deserve." You have to go for it. You have to fight for it. You have to work for it. You have to take it. And the time to start isn't tomorrow. It's not Monday, it's not next year. The time to start is now. Right now. Today. With one decision. With one action. With one step. What's going to be that first step? What are you going to do differently today that brings you even a millimeter closer to the life you deserve? What difficult conversation are you going to have? What opportunity are you going to investigate? What fear are you going to face? What habit are you going to change? Because at the end of the day, the difference between people who live the life they deserve and people who settle for the life they got isn't talent. It's not luck. It's not the connections they have. It's the decision. The decision not to accept less than what they know they can achieve. The decision to bet on themselves. The decision to do whatever it takes to become the person they need to be to live the life they deserve. Your life is waiting for you. The life you deserve is there. On the other side of your fear, on the other side of your comfort, on the other side of the excuses you've been telling yourself. Don't wait anymore. You don't need more information. You don't need more time. You don't need more resources. You need more courage. Courage to start. Courage to change. Courage to choose the life you deserve over the life you got. Do it. Do it for the version of you that you've been postponing. Do it for the dreams you've been putting off. Do it for the people you love. But above all, do it for you. Because you deserve it. Because your life matters. Because the world needs the best version of you. The life you deserve isn't a fantasy. It's a real possibility waiting for you to make the decision to make it reality. Start today. Start now. Your life is waiting.